Belgrave Road Police Station on the outskirts of Birmingham city centre. A busy station, it deals with more than 7,000 cases a year.
Thank you.
In recent years, there's been much public criticism of police behaviour towards prisoners in custody and the resulting miscarriages of justice. Despite the tightening up of the law, there's still widespread concern about police conduct. The West Midlands Police, however, are confident that with the audio taping of suspect interviews and the current experiment with videotaping, public suspicions will be allayed. We spent 5 weeks at Belgrave Road, watching the station at work.
Unless she will help us, we are struggling. What I'd say. We got called out last night, just after 9:15, to Hope Place in Selly Oak, which is off Dawlish Road, to where it was reported that a woman had been set fire, or she poured paraffin on herself and set fire to herself. That was the call. We turned up. She's just been put into an ambulance at the time.
Did you say what had happened though?
No, she wouldn't say anything last night. She was just telling me to go forth, and she didn't want to know. We go in and speak to the common law husband, who eventually tells us that they've been drinking, they've had an argument, and he's poured paraffin over.
You just sign at the end there for us. Cheers. The two officers will be down in a sec. If you want to take a seat. Okay. I'll bring them down.
This morning, Kath and I have been up to the hospital and had a brief chat with her. She's in serious condition, but is sort of stable. They haven't put her on the critical list or anything. She's got between 30 and 35% burns from her neck to waist. And there is bits on her face as well. She's she is in a bad way. She's likely to have several operations. It's all in there, but the lads have locked it and taken the key with them. What time did you get off last night, Frank?
11:30.
Oh, so it's not so bad. I didn't get him too much overtime last night.
Yeah, but I was on call for the F division as well.
Those are her shoes. From the hospital. Right. Together with
the rest of
that property in there. That's all hers from the hospital. It's all wet. Those were hers. And this was his property.
That's what he's wearing last night.
That was taken from him last night. The other thing that we just popped to see her at the hospital. She's turned around and said the paraphernalia blew up. Well, you know and I know that ain't right. Because we were at the same last night. So,
well, I told her the car's got 2 footprints in it.
So it's obvious she's trying to cover her up or something.
2 footprints.
There's 2 footprints melted into the carpet where she was stood in the kitchen.
Now, do you understand why you're here? Why you've been arrested? You were arrested last night for a couple of offences, one of attempt murder and one of what we call a Section 18 wounding. It's wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Okay? And just to put it in simpler terms, is you poured petrol over your girlfriend, right?
No.
Okay, then we'll go through that in a short while. But can I just verify that you understand why you're here?
I do know, yeah.
Okay. Right, before we go into depth about these things, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you live, who you live with?
I live with my girlfriend.
Right. You get on quite well, do you?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, we have the ups and downs.
Well, of course you do, yeah. Can you tell us what you did yesterday?
Starting from where?
Starting from when you got up. I understand you weren't drinking in the dinner time, did you?
Yeah.
Can you
Went
start
into town,
there?
had a drink.
Who were you with?
With Angela. And we went to the Monte Carlo after. Come out, we had a row. I tipped the paraffin on her, like. And about 10 minutes later, if it was 10 minutes, I don't know, I wasn't counting, like. She just put a match to herself and that was it. And I had to out her.
No, listen, man, I'm not having it. I'm not having no arrest. I ain't done fuck all, man. Okay. I've come from the fucking dentist just now.
Alright.
And the people are swooping, talking about some GT. I ain't got a clue what's going on.
Hey,
calm myself. You arrested me, charging me for all this shit.
No.
That's what you've done.
No.
Listen.
Listen, have you been in trouble with the police before?
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, you've
You know
arrested
the
me,
system.
Man. You've arrested me.
You've been arrested on suspicion. The next step
I've
is...
been here for all 7 hours and shit like that. I can't take that no more.
This afternoon, a stolen car happened to come into our view with 4 West Indian lads in the car. 3 of the lads got out the car and we were able to see them quite clearly. And a short time later, the driver of the car then drove off. And obviously we notified officers that were in the area, who then chased the car and understand that they arrested the driver. And myself and my colleague who had seen the 3 lads get out of the car then, we lost sight of them as they went behind a block of maisonettes into the estate. And a short time later, we identified another lad that had got out the back of the car. We saw him and we arrested him on suspicion of theft of that motor vehicle. But I didn't set it on fire, don't give me that. I never set it on fire.
No, but you poured it on her.
So
didn't you?
what? Haven't you ever poured water on somebody?
So you were reckless as to what the consequences would be?
Water and paraffin are totally different, aren't they?
No, not when they're not lit, they ain't.
You obviously wanted to cause her some real harm. That's why
How'd
you poured
work that one out?
Because you poured paraffin
Well, if I
over
was
her.
going to do that, why not put the match to her then?
I don't know whether you did or not.
Well, I know I didn't.
But you weren't bothered whether she did
Well,
it
why
or
did
not.
I out her then? Why did I out her? Why did I call you? Like, why did I do any of all that if I didn't want, if I wanted to hurt
Because you'd
her?
be sitting there answering a murder charge.
I didn't have to say anything. I could have just phoned you and gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I admire you for speaking the truth, to a certain extent. But the fact of the matter is that she wouldn't be where she is now if you didn't throw that paraffin over her in the
Yeah, I
first
can
place.
understand that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask or force her to light the match and put it to her clothes, did I?
But you've got the wrong... we're talking about the wrong issue here. We are talking about you pouring paraffin over her. So there's got to be some intent in that little mind of yours, hasn't there?
Has there? Haven't you ever done anything irrational and
I
realised after?
haven't done things like that, no.
Well, neither have I until
Because
now.
it was
have I?
obviously your intention to cause her some grievous harm,
Why
wasn't
didn't
it?
I lie to then?
How do I know whether you did or not?
Well, she might say I did, I don't know.
Right. Now, what do you want to do about this business of the solicitor? Do you want a solicitor? I put down that you do want a solicitor. If you wish to change your mind, I will have to get you to sign accordingly that you don't want a solicitor.
Well, listen, Gov, you know the system, I don't. And all I want to know is which
The
way is going to
system
be quicker.
is this.
Because I know...
If you want a solicitor, we will have to wait until a solicitor
well,
arrives.
scoot
for-
the solicitor, man,
but-
because I know you can't put nothing on me.
The officer who's arrested you has got further inquiries to make anyway, so I mean your solicitor could be here by the time you're...
What do you mean, further inquiries?
I've got to make some inquiries. I don't know the full extent of those inquiries
Yeah.
before your interview. So
Listen,
you've got
listen.
time if you want a solicitor.
Listen, man, listen. Right, the way I see it, I've showed him where I've been, my alibi. I've just come out of McDonald's. It's like, you ain't checking up, you ain't willing to check up where and the people know me. It's just like you want to arrest me for shit and you know I ain't done nothing. Huh?
The officer who's arrested you is going to make further inquiries.
You don't need inquiry, you don't need bullshit.
You're not
You don't
listening
need
to me, are you?
nothing, man. If you're
You're
an
not
innocent
listening to
man
me.
dragged off the street talking
Who's
about...
your solicitor?
Yeah. What about solicitor?
Who's your solicitor?
Warner. Jay Warner.
Jay Warner?
Yeah.
Right, that's all I need to know. Sign that. That's for a copy of your rights. Sign that one saying you want a solicitor. Sign that one there saying that's your list of your property. Right. Come this way.
Do you accept that you've done any wrong? Can you see that...
To a certain degree, yes.
Yeah. What
I've
wrong can you see that you've done there?
Well, I shouldn't have poured paraffin on her, should I?
No, but why did you do it then?
I don't know, I can't answer that. It happened so fast. By the time I'd realised what I'd done, it was already done, wasn't it?
Where did you pick the paraffin up from?
I don't know. I didn't go looking for it, it was just there.
And I bet you picked the paraffin up and then it had a screw top. You had to screw the top off because you don't leave paraffin exposed, do
Don't
you?
you? You don't like matches when it's on your clothes either, do you?
Well, you
But some
don't- you
people
don't.
do.
Yeah, but you don't usually pour them on pour paraffin over people, do you?
I agree with that, but I mean, I still don't hold
Whether
myself
she-
responsible
whether
for
she-
lighting herself up.
Whether she struck a match to herself is irrelevant. You poured the paraffin over that woman with intent to cause her some harm.
Well, you prove that then. I've got nothing more to say on the matter.
Hi, sir.
All right, sir.
Well, we've just done this interview with Chennai, and the bottom line of it is he'll admit throwing the petrol over, but he's saying that she set fire to herself. So obviously we've got to go and see her in hospital and see what she said to us.
He's accepting that, eventually he accepted the recklessness of the consequences.
That was hard work.
That was hard work, getting the recklessness out of
You
it.
know, he really thought that he hadn't done any harm. You know.
Sometimes it can be a bit overpowering because they're trying to fire questions at you all the time, you know, and then changing the same question, but in a different way, like, and they're trying to muddle you up all the time, you know. Well, I'm used to that, so it doesn't really bother me either.
And that's the best
I
way.
mean, I do get a bit irritated because, you know, they're all talking to you as if you're simple, you don't know what you're saying. Like, that's it, really. Doesn't bother me at all.
Do you use any particular ways of dealing with their questions?
I'm evasive as possible, like, you know.
The problem is at the moment he knows that he's been arrested for attempt murder, and he's obviously thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen now? You know, so he's obviously quaking in his boots, I think.
Well chuffed, really. You know, I can't actually see him sticking a charge on me, to be honest, you know what I mean? You know, they always come up with something, don't they? That's the way I look at it.
Why is it you can't see him sticking a charge on you?
It's technical, really, because I haven't actually... I've done something, but I didn't finish it off. Somebody else finished it off for me, sort of thing. So I can't be held responsible for what somebody else does, really. And, I'm hopeful that they'll see it that way. I mean, they will bang some sort of charge on me, but it's not the one it's not the worst that I expect, you know what I mean? If the worst comes off, then I'm down the Swanee line. Without a paddle.
I mean, they know for a fact they never seen me come out of no car. They know. I don't know who. That's what I said to him. I said, whoever says that you saw me coming out of a car, I'll take them to court personally, because they know for a fact they never. I know I can take them to court because that is lies they're coming out with, you know.
Well, it's certainly from our point of view, as we go into the interview, it's possible that the suspect will have more excuses and alibis to get out of it. Obviously, he's able to say perhaps that the car, he didn't know that the car was stolen, etc., or he had nothing to do with the original theft. And obviously we've got to do what we can to close those avenues down to him.
But you're fairly confident in yourself that the man you've got in is the right man?
I'm absolutely sure, yeah. The lad that says that he wasn't there, or is going to tell us, as I'm sure he will, then yeah, I'm absolutely sure that he was the lad that got out of the car, yeah.
Can't be no mistake. That's why I know they're out to get me. I know because I've just come from McDonald's, and I said as soon as I got arrested, I said, just stop here, just go to McDonald's and check where I've come from, you know? But they don't want that. They just want to bring me back here and give me shit, you know what I mean? That's all they want to do. They just want to create a whole heap of havoc for me.
Okay, do you want to tell us what you've done from when you got up today to when you were arrested?
Yeah. The whole thing?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I got up, slept at my cousin's house, Leroy Lee's.
Right.
We had a dentist appointment, yeah?
Yep.
And I remember being in the chair at exactly 3:15 because when like he was filing my teeth down, I looked at the clock and saw it's 3:15. Anyway, we must have left there about 4:30, 4:20.
Yeah.
Jumped on the bus straight into town.
Yeah.
I says I'm gonna get my hair cut. Works.
What time was it you were here?
There,
Yeah.
10 to 5, definite. Then we walked from there. We walked up further into the ballroom.
Yeah.
Come out onto where, what's it called now? You know where Playtime is?
It's Station Street.
Station Street. Come past Albany Hotel, you know the subway
Yeah.
there. Went into a shop there, I bought 2 Goldie bars. Nathan and Leroy bought something, then we come out of there. We walked down the road, came into McDonald's, I bought a 9-piece chicken McNugget with 2 curry sauce, sat down and ate one, was in there for about 10 minutes. Just as I come out, police sweetly talking about some arrest business, I don't know, you know?
Okay, I'll tell you the circumstances of what happened.
Yeah.
Because obviously
Please do.
you were suspecting and investigating the offence, and obviously you've got to know.
Yeah,
But
well,
I think you do know, but even so, I'll tell you why.
What do you mean?
This
You
car.
think I do know?
Well, I think that you do. Okay.
Yeah.
This white Golf GTI, which is a stolen car, pulled up outside Vorton House. Okay, and it pulled up onto the pavement.
Onto the pavement?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. There were 4 lads in the car, 4 West Indian lads. The front passenger got out, it's a 2-door car, and the 2 lads from out the back got out. Okay. Myself and my colleagues saw all this happen, we were close by. Okay, we saw it, we recognised the car, we recognised it was a stolen car. And as soon as we did, we alerted other officers, as anybody would do. One of the people that got out the car was you.
It weren't me at all. You could never tell me it was me. You could never tell me. You could not be 100% certain in your mind that it was me. No way.
not?
No, it weren't me. It was not me. I know for a fact, boss. You know, you'll have to chill on that. You think it was me, boss. You think. Don't say it was me, because you would be lying to say it was me. You would definitely be lying, because, you know.
Okay, listen to what I'm going to say. You've agreed to what I said earlier. 2
Yeah.
o'clock this afternoon, I saw you walking down from the same position, from the same distance. I saw you, and I knew it was you,
Yeah.
walking down with Leroy and Nathan to get the bus.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know you, don't I?
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah, of course.
Because, you know, 2 weeks ago, you were arrested for another offence.
Yeah.
Okay, with Nathan and Leroy.
Yeah.
So I know you. It's not a question of simply
So what are
saying
you
you
trying
look
to
like
say?
somebody.
You must be trying to stitch me up, boss. I'm telling you, you must be fucking trying to stitch me up, boss. I'm telling you, so don't bother coming with your shit. Don't come with your shit, boss. Because you can't bring this to court. You bring this to court, you get thrown out, boss. Because all it is a couple of punks word, couple of police. Just because you're police, yeah? You think you can lie on me and bring people? No.
Calm down.
Calm down, man. Listen, don't bother.
Listen, if this is a case of mistaken identity...
It's a fucking mistake,
okay,
man.
Calm down. Jason, calm down.
Calm down. You're telling me you saw me. It weren't me.
Listen. Calm down, calm down.
Calm down. The fucking brother's telling me to calm down when he's telling me he saw me when it weren't even me. It weren't me.
Okay, listen. If there's a possibility we have made a mistake in identity. Listen, we'll get
There's
to
no
it, okay?
possibility.
We'll get to it. Listen.
I know you've
Okay.
made an error.
Okay.
I know.
Hello, Angela. Wash your hands, Angela.
Hello. Feeling any better today? Little bit. Okay. We'll have a chat with you in a minute. Oh, lovely. Thanks. Right, Ange. So, the thing is, you said, because of the state that you ended up in, David has been brought into custody. And we had a little bit of an interview with him, and he admitted throwing the paraphernalia. You remember him throwing the paraphernalia?
No, he didn't. It was when I was putting it up. Just went over.
So you're telling me that he didn't pull paraphernalia? But what was he saying he did?
Well, I don't know.
You're not covering up for him, are you,
Why did it
Angela?
set alight then?
When I lit it to set the fire, light the fire.
Yeah, but you'd already poured it all over yourself, you're saying?
Didn't go over me accidentally.
Angela, you're ever such a silly girl, you know. I don't know why you're not telling us the truth. You're not in trouble. He's telling us one story, so you're telling us another. I mean, who are we to believe? I'll believe the person who we've got in custody, because if he hadn't pulled that paraffin over you, I don't think he'd admit that he did. You're in a bad state, you know, Angela. You're very lucky to be alive, to be truthful. Look what he's done to you.
Paraffin ain't done much, is it?
He hasn't done much. Have you? The nurses give you a mirror to look at yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're covering up for him for. What we're trying to find out is who lit the match.
Yeah, an ounce of tobacco and some rolling papers. Old Holborn. Okay then. Yeah, thanks for that. It's alright. Thanks.
Alright.
I can't understand the girl.
Well, I can't. There's no mentality there at all of what she's trying to cover up.
I wouldn't mind any, it's only a shit anyway.
What I find hard to believe, Jason, is that somebody, I mean, I recognised you early on in the day, and when you got out of the car, as I said before, I know it was you.
Yeah,
and
well,
I find it hard to believe that in the same area where you were a few hours before,
Yeah.
somebody who's got the exact same clothes on,
Yeah.
was about the same height as you, and the same colour as you, the same tone of skin.
So what, you're
to
trying
make-
to tell
to
me
make
there ain't no half-caste people with purple jackets? Huh?
I ain't trying to tell you that.
Of course you are. That's what you're trying to say, like I'm the only half-caste brother in
I'm
the
saying
world
it's
with a
hard to
purple
believe.
jacket.
I'm not saying it's not
About hard to believe.
What
That's
he's saying
the way
is-
you policemen put it, is hard to believe.
What he's saying is, we were confident it was you when you were walking to the bus, because we could have told you that on the breakfast.
Oh yeah.
We could see you, and we were confident it was you.
What we think. That I will not argue with that. What we think, but I will argue when a man says, like he's putting, like the way he's putting it over to me, and I don't care what you say. Is like, I find it hard to believe. Like I don't make mistakes. I seen you earlier, and I know you when I seen you. And that was you. That's the way he's putting it to me. That's the way I see it. I'll accept your view there. We think it's you. That's fair enough. That is in your right option to think, because I'm wearing these clothes
All right,
and
Jason.
that. But I prefer that.
I don't want to press the matter. Fine, okay. We both agreed that it's possible to make a genuine mistake, and
Yeah.
we're just going to turn this into a bit of a slanging match, and that isn't really why we're here.
Mm.
What we were trying to do, what I'm trying to do, is connect you to the offence, which
Obviously,
you're categorically denying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and there are certain other lines of inquiry.
Yeah.
Which we can follow up.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add?
Yeah, I never done it. Whatever it was.
Okay, Jason, you understand what's happening?
Yeah.
You've got no evidence against you at this time. You've been released without
That's
charge.
all right, yeah.
I take it you've got no complaints regarding your arrest or your detention?
No, of course not, you know.
You've had wonderful service here. No cost to the...
Huh?
Yes, again.
No coffee again. No.
See you next time.
Yeah, next time.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, show me.
Yeah, cheers.
Still working? Okay. Say again.
What have you been up to now?
Absolutely nothing.
To be perfectly honest, I'm convinced in my mind that he was the bloke that got out of the car. However, it's happened to me before where a similar circumstances where the bloke has been charged with the offence and CPS haven't run it. I mean, the only evidence is that myself and the colleague have seen him. Really, he's flatly denying it, and it would just come down to, I mean, right the way down if it was to go to court, just an argument between me and him. And we don't know whether that would really be enough. Okay. It's, never mind. We've got the driver anyway, so it's the main one.
Now take your name, please.
She's still very poorly, unfortunately.
I didn't expect her to be holding flowers and jumping round, you know.
Certainly not now. No. Unfortunately, I haven't really got any good news for you. When questioned about this incident, she said to me, and she also said to the nurses, that she didn't want to get you into trouble. Now, my opinion of that is you've obviously done something wrong. You've also said to us that you threw the paraffin over her. She wouldn't say that she'd licked the paraffin as you say she did.
But she isn't saying I did either, is she?
She said to us that she didn't want to get you into trouble.
Well, how could she get me into trouble?
Well, you tell me then. Why did she say that?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. Why didn't you ask her why she said that?
I did.
And what did she say to that?
She just won't answer.
Well, she doesn't have to if she doesn't want it.
Of course she doesn't, no.
She just keeps saying that she doesn't want to get you into trouble.
Which makes me think, well, perhaps that you did pour the paraffin on her, and perhaps that you did set light to it.
Yeah, you think so? Well, if that's all, you've got to charge me with it, haven't you?
David John Fitzpatrick will listen closely to what I have to say to you. Take notice you are charged with the following offence. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. On the 3rd of March 1991 in the city of Birmingham, you unlawfully and maliciously caused grievous bodily harm to Angela Susan Hancox with intent to do her some grievous bodily harm. It was contrary to Section 18 of the Offence Against the Person Act of 1861. A reply.
Well, I'll leave it with your brief, of course. All right then.
Yeah.
Do you want a drink?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
What do you want?
Anything.
Tea, coffee?
Yeah, anything.
Do you have sugar?
2, please.
2. I'll get you off, David.
Are you surprised?
Not really, I'm just a bit pissed off, you know what I mean? You know, for the sake of a day like, they could have let me out and get myself cleaned up and that night. You know, there's certain things I could have arranged to do, like the address I've got to go to. I could have got her to come to court for definite, to be there to say that, but now I've got to depend on luck and wait around all day, like tomorrow probably, till they find her. So it's just inconvenience more than anything else, you know what I mean?
You're not surprised at the outcome?
Well, I am, yeah, because the charges are a lot worse, like.
The charges?
It was attempted murder to start off with, but they've dropped it to Section 18 with intent, so that'll get dropped as well, because I'm not guilty anyway, simple as that.
Can I start off then by thanking you all for coming, especially those who are on leave or off sick. The public opinion of the West Midlands Police Force at the moment must be at an all-time low. Whatever we can do to make that better has got to be good. Most of you were at school when the pub bombings went off. The police force and most other organisations of this country have been through numerous changes since then. This is not the same police force as was operating then. Now that has never been got across anywhere. Now I know you don't operate in the ways that have been alleged. I know that pace and everything now is so tight that rules are stuck to. Unfortunately, the public don't. They're seeing publicity pushed out about the West Midlands Police, the crime squad, the bombers and everything, all of which are years old. 99% of those are pre-pace, none of which apply. Now, I know that and you know that. What we've got to do is try and get that across to the public.
PACE, or the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, was introduced in 1984, primarily to codify police procedures relating to prisoners in custody following allegations of police misconduct. A key figure in Pace is the custody officer.
Time to go.
His responsibility is to ensure that all the suspect's welfare needs and rights are met. He's not an investigating officer himself. His job is to act as a barrier between the suspect and the investigating officers.
First stand here. You're Robert David Cooper? I am. Take notice that you're charged with the following offence. You don't have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence.
A new development
How
following on
many
from
members of your
Pace,
family
which
still live
introduced the
over there?
audio taping of interviews, is the videotaping of interviews.
Quite a few. Yeah. So, does Mum and Dad still live
No,
over in Belfast? They're separated. Okay. Have you any brothers and sisters?
5 brothers, my sister.
Do any of they live in Belfast?
Videotape is now being experimented with in 5 stations in the United Kingdom, of which Belgrave Road was the first.
I think that it has made my detectives very professional in preparing interviews and in conducting those interviews. Plus the fact that what we have, it's showing, I believe, showing the public that we've got nothing to fear, that we are being open as far as the interviews of suspects, and that people can look, that legal advisors of people, the judiciary can look at an interview and assess whether there have been any problems, whether duress or whatever in the course of that interview. If the whole purpose is to get at the truth, which I believe it should be, then that video recording is to me something for the future.
Something wrong with it?
This man has just been arrested. 2 days ago, a woman accused him of assaulting her. When 2 officers went to arrest him, he threatened them with a hammer and stole their radios. He said that he was already on bail for 2 rapes and did not want to be taken into police custody. He then escaped, but gave himself up a few hours ago.
Any neck chains off? Do you want a neck chain off, Sarge?
Yes, please.
Just take it.
Why couldn't I wear it?
Because you hang yourself on it.
There's also an allegation from Angela, as you'd appreciate, that you assaulted her on Monday night. I believe she's been either slapped or smacked in the mouth.
Yeah.
Did you, at any time on Monday,
No.
slap or assault Angela?
Mm-mm.
You sure about that?
Yeah, man, positive.
Who else was in the house that night, or Monday night?
Oh, my sister and my lady.
Your mum, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah, this hammer, where was that?
In the cupboard.
In what room?
In the kitchen.
What sort of hammer was it?
It's a claw hammer.
Big one? Small?
Nah, small.
What did you do with the hammer? Did you threaten them with it?
Well, obviously, innit?
Yeah. What did you say to him? Can you remember?
Yeah, I just said he ain't taking me in, man. I was on the cave his fucking head in, innit?
And then you demanded the radios?
Yeah. I'd have said that, innit?
Mm. Why did you want the radios?
So they couldn't contact the police station, innit? Because I didn't want to be locked up.
And why did you want the car?
To get away. That's why, to get away.
So you were going to drive off in the police car?
Well, if I didn't want, if I want the keys, right, I'm not going to have the keys to look inside it, am I? You know what I mean?
Fine. I'm only asking, am I? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So, and you've then taken the 2 radios and left them in the underpass, which is just up here on the middle way.
And they've gone missing.
And then you've gone missing.
No, the radios have gone missing.
The radios have gone missing. Okay. Have you any idea where they might be?
No.
Not at all?
No.
This interview was conducted according to the rules of Pace and recorded on audio tape. However, a short while before the interview took place, this happened. Detective Inspector Osborne, in possession of the cell door keys, is going to visit the suspect in his cell.
straight, pal. Johnson. Mr. Johnson would like cigarettes. Would you like his cigarettes? Oh, he sees off.
Having returned the keys to the custody officer, Detective Inspector Osborne now informs the investigating officer of the result of his discussions with the suspect.
What I'll say to him is, we're not going to talk to you about the rape. You will say to Bobby's in the interview, I went mad because Bobby says I raped the doctor. And the D's are going to say to you is, yes, she has made a complaint of rape, but we're not in a position to talk to you about that today. End of subject. And then go straight on to the robbery, or the assault and the robbery. Yeah. When you've done all the interviews, etc., I've asked him to make a phone call to a mate out on the street. He don't know where the radios are. If he phones his mate up and say, won't find them fucking radios. If those radios appear at the front desk, nobody else is going to get these, and there's going to be no questions asked. And then he walks out of the court on back.
Well, the first thing to be clear about that's happening when the officer goes to the cell is that is a visit which should not have taken place. It is an unauthorised visit which is contrary to the codes of practice, in particular Rule 11 and Rule 12 of Code C of the Codes of Practice. They require explicitly that any interview with a suspect should be held in an interview room, that any conversation that takes place between a suspect and an investigating officer must be contemporaneously recorded, and they further require that if there is and must be a visit for any reason to the cell, such as, for example, taking the suspect a drink, as sometimes happens, this must be logged in the custody record, and that is the responsibility separately of the custody officer.
The custody record is supposed to log everything that happens to the suspect and will be referred to in court if a dispute arises. The formal interview is indeed recorded accurately, but if we look at the time when the inspector visited the cell, which happened between 1556 and 1604, there's no mention of it.
I don't think any rules are unbendable. A police officer who bends the rules jeopardises not only his case but also his job, so I think we all work within the framework of PACE, and it's easy to get on with because it's a straightforward framework of rules that we all abide by.
And are you happy that the rules of PACE are always complied with within this station?
They're not always complied with, but they're not deliberately broken, I would say. They're overlooked from time to time by human error, but I wouldn't say that we go out of our way to try and break them or bend them.
During the night, 2 men have been arrested following a series of burglaries.
Hello, Sergeant Evans. How the devil are you? Have you had a nice Easter? Did the doc bring plenty of Easter eggs for you? No? Good. Yes, please. Well, what we got is we got an 82-year-old lady at gone 3 o'clock this morning who disturbs these 2 jokers, but because the lights are off, she thinks that they're wearing hoods. Well, they ain't wearing hoods. I mean, it's the black faces and the white eyes, isn't it? And the old lady has had 3 £10 notes and 2 fivers nicked out of her purse and her handbag. Right. How many are you doing them for? Well, we had 6 last night up in Teignmouth Road and Tiverton Road, just off the main drag in Sellio. No fighting. No, come quietly. I'm debating at the moment, mate, to put him on for 6, but I don't know what the CPS will say about that. Yep. Okay, Ron. Cheers. Ta-da. I've only had an operation on these 2 for the last month or so, haven't they? I mean, before I even told him about ours, he says they seem to have moved off us. He says, I don't know where they've gone. I don't even know where they've gone. They come over to us. He said they do 6 or 7 a night.
Gives it a thrape and leave it for...
Gives it a thrape and leave it for a week, come back and do another 6 or 7. He said, they'll never admit it.
The 2 men who were arrested have been brought into custody and separated. Accompanied by DC Exel, one of them has his details recorded by the custody officer.
We've got a little bit of circumstantial evidence for 2 of the offences. We'll take a gamble. We'll charge them and we'll hope something comes up. But that's it, really. I mean, we know that they've done them. But you can't always rely on your victims, especially when they're 86 and 87 years old. I mean, you can't really ask them to go to court and come face to face with these animals. It's impossible.
The detectives then interviewed the first suspect in the soundproofed room and recorded it on audio tape. The police audio tape was then switched off, and between 1805 and 1820, this happened.
I've told you what I'm going to do. I ain't bullshitting you. I'm going to charge you with 6. If you want 6 fucking charges, you can have 6 charges. Your barrister ain't got much of a fucking argument at the end of the day. I don't really want to charge you with the fucking 6 charges. I'd rather charge you with a couple and you have 4 TIC. You can rip the fucking TICs up once you get to court. I don't really give a shit. By me giving you the TICs, in my book upstairs, they're cleared. Okay? At the end of the day, you'll have 2 charges. If you'd rather have 6 than 2, that's a matter for you. What I'm trying to do now is, that's the only deal I can fucking strike with you. I will say that anybody who comes in here and admits a couple of dozen fucking burglaries, I think deserves a letter to the judge as well. And I've done that loads of times before. I've gone down and I put a letter into the judge to say that this man was extremely helpful to us. Fucking works of wonders, that does. All right? Now, bullshit aside now, that's the deal I can offer.
Plus the fact that you've got a couple of charges, court in the morning, death to breach of curfew, he's got 2 charges for burglary, he's helped us out, he won't oppose bail. Otherwise, we get 6 charges, didn't want to fucking
What's your
demanding
conditions of bail? Curfew, what else?
Sign on.
Any residence?
Yeah.
I mean, I could really fucking throw it on thick for you. I can put up a fucking good argument on the papers tomorrow that you are of no fixed abode. Well, I couldn't really give a fuck. As I say, we lay it on fucking heavy, or we come off fucking light. It's a matter for you. The most important thing is, you've got a fucking decision to make. You're either going to have 6 fucking charges or you're going to have 2. And the only fucking way you're having 2 is you start fucking talking to us. It's very easy to sit there and say, I ain't done no fucking burglaries. But pal, you don't fucking live in Sellyoak. You're a long way from fucking Handsworth. And you're coming the wrong fucking way if you've been to a party in Kings Norton, me old fruit. Because that is not the fucking route back from Kings Norton.
Listen, I never done nothing.
That's fair enough then. You have them all. I couldn't really give a fuck.
In this case, the officer is making very strong efforts to induce the suspect to make an admission of responsibility for crimes which the officer believes he committed. The way in which he is doing that is flatly contrary to the codes of practice and the Police and Criminal Evidence Act provisions.
Come back to yourself.
Here we can clearly see emerging from the interview room DC Exel, DI Osborne, the suspect and DC Warner, in full view of the custody officer.
John, I'll go get some better bags from your office. I'll go get them.
Detective Inspector Osborne, whose voice we heard, has broken the codes of practice. But what about the elaborate system that has been established to protect the suspect, specifically the custody officer and his log? The custody sheet is inaccurate in 3 respects. Firstly, it records the interviews as finishing at 18:20 and having been carried out in accordance with pace. We know that the interview finished at 18:04, and what followed was clearly not in accordance with pace. The custody officer, however, could not have known this. Finally, it states that DCs Exel and Warner were present at the interviews, but does not mention Detective Inspector Osborne.
This is a very serious matter when you're dealing with an officer who goes to a cell for an interview or an officer who appears in an interrogation out of the blue. These are crucial matters to the way in which the case is handled and should have been recorded. A failure to do so is a breach of responsibilities. The last two investigations which you have recorded demonstrate that the whole theory behind the Police and Criminal Evidence Act is fundamentally flawed. It rests upon the first premise that the introduction of elaborate framework of rules will actually change the behaviour of police officers. The first thing which needs to be stated quite clearly about what we have seen in the films is that these practices which we've observed are not the product of badly motivated officers who are seeking to convict people who are innocent. The second thing which emerges quite clearly is that the introduction of new technologies, such as the videotape, are not going to improve the position of suspects where they contest the validity of a confession, and will not make it safer for courts to rely upon a confession which has been videotaped. Where interviews take place off the record, off camera, since they are not recorded, the video that we see is only a partial representation of reality. And because it is only partial, it is even more dangerous, because it is so convincing that judges, magistrates and juries are much more likely to rely upon it better than any other kind of evidence, and if they do so, this will be extremely dangerous, indeed deadly, for suspects.